All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It is Wednesday, May 6th. Let's go. Had some news this morning out of Iran about potentially a end to the war over a one-page memo agreement. Iran has said that it's kind of fake news. That's not really happening. The news came from a Pakistani source, apparently. So we don't know really how much truth there is to that. So on the initial break of the news, there was a pretty significant run up in S&Ps and a run down in crude, but some of those gains and losses have now retraced a little bit. So let's kind of see what happens. There's no major economic releases this morning. There's a lot of potential for Iran headlines this morning. So let's just see kind of what develops. We're a little bit out in no man's land now on S&Ps, but this is kind of in line what we've been talking about for the last 2 weeks with the auction theory and the S&Ps and kind of the bullish leaning that we see. Having the composite range around 150, the test downs that failed and quickly rejected, the test up that held, and we found balance around 280 over the last few days. So I'm curious to see what kind of distribution we form today. Is it more balanced in nature? Are we kind of all over the place? I really don't want to see the markets just kind of be all over the place and creating a bunch of small like distributions. Um, we have a bullish leaning, potentially a test of 7,300, and the test of the highs from yesterday and Friday would potentially be ideal for a long. But we don't really have a lot of structure to work with other than that, right? A potential longs at 7,300 or possibly go back down into the balance range of 280 and long there. I'm curious to see where the flow is actually going to take us this morning. Crude oil inventories at 10:30 this morning, so obviously avoid trading crude anywhere around that time. But let's see what we get in S&Ps this morning. Big sign of seller absorption right at the open. The last Iranian news was around 9 o'clock this morning. And nothing since then. I mean, we've been on a pretty steady downward trajectory in S&P since 7:30 this morning. And we really don't have any ranges to work with at the moment. The pre-market's kind of a lot of noise. And take a look at crude. Crude is really out in the middle of nowhere now. We're well outside the range from Monday and Tuesday. Yeah, I mean, we're just nowhere near it now. It's not helpful. On the TPO for crude, this isn't a bad reference area, around 96. There's overlapping POCs here. So you might find some support here on crude, but I mean, structurally, this is a little bit all over the place. Yeah, you were trending upwards, but you didn't really find very good, strong balance, really. Outside 102 yesterday, and then maybe 96 a week ago. So not great reference points for crude. So signs of seller absorption at the open. I'm gonna be a little patient this morning. I don't want to get too greedy and too aggressive. Large sale, market on open, 327.5 for 140 contracts. Market on open and balance was plus 300 million. Wow, that's pretty significant. So a lot of buyers at the open. I mean, we are kind of ranging sideways here a little bit on S&Ps. I mean, it looks like we're flattening out a little bit, but let's not call in a trend reversal just yet. I mean, I would like to, I mean, yeah, like where's the top of this range though, right? if you're looking at this downward trend, if you really are interested in a break of the range, a retest of the range, what is the range that you are retesting right now? I mean, maybe it's this seller absorption here at 333, 334, somewhere in here, and this is your retest. And you're looking for volume to come in here. I mean, that's pretty heavy seller absorption at the open. I mean, that's a pretty big print. So maybe if we get some buyer absorption down here, but no large transactions really other than the market on open. Kind of bullish flow for the most part. Volume is lifting price. You're able to make it through these swing highs. You got a little bit of a ledge here in the price action. More signs of sellers coming in. And volume up here at 338 is holding down price. Quick look at crude. Seems to be a little bit of a mixed picture in crude. Doesn't look as clean as S&Ps. So let's keep our eyes on S&Ps for the moment. I mean, ideally, you do want like kind of a retest of this range. You're within value though, and this is kind of a broken distribution thus far. You're not getting the very quick rejection up here, right? Like you're able to hold things up here despite the seller absorption. So he seemed to have a little bit of a bullish leaning with the order flow right at the open. So we may not get down to the 300 test that we really wanted to do. Buyer at 341 for 159 contracts. Hopefully that doesn't mark a swing high for you. And more signs of seller absorption here. Not huge prints, but you know, it's something. So since the open, only the one large institutional order at 341, 159 contracts. We're breaking these swing range highs, but again, this is like pre-market range highs, not the best. They're not sending the best. And these low volume areas aren't very clean. Right, if your idea is maybe potentially I want to take a long here at 336, 337 on some sort of trend continuation, melt up type situation. So we're still trying to take it higher, volume coming in at the highs. It doesn't seem to be any sort of quick rejection. And nothing on the large order flow. So S&Ps are, you know, just slowly grinding higher. Oil breaking down a little bit. So that's bullish. So you're breaking this seller absorption, right? So and when volume comes in, we're not suppressing price. This is all very bullish. This is all very bullish order flow. Now the question becomes, okay, we have bullish order flow. We have a relatively bullish thesis. Now we need structure to get in for our entry. Where is that structure? I don't know yet. That's the problem. Right? Is it this low volume area? Is it the top of the swing that was done pre-market? Like this is very jagged and broken. This is going to get repaired and filled in likely. This isn't a completed auction. There's a lot of jumping around. Pretty big print on the absorption. About 8 minutes in, range fairly tight on 20 points. Could be tighter. Could be tight. So you get the volume here coming in at the highs, kind of holding things down a little bit. Good sign of seller absorption there. I mean, honestly, I would like us to come down and kind of clean this up a little bit and more narrowly define where the low volume area is, right? Because we can use that structure to take a trade from. Don't necessarily want to do it within value, but if we have a bullish thesis, we're looking at bullish order flow. I don't know if we want to get overly picky with where or what kind of structure we're trading from. If that makes sense. So buyers stepping in above the 338 POC. POC just moved up a little bit to 340. Seller at 340 for 267 contracts. Let's see how much volume was done within the first minute. 13,000, pretty light. Pretty light. Some more signs of buyer absorption here. And they're absorbing at higher prices. Volume's coming in and trying to lift price here at 340. I don't like this spot for a long at all. Right on top of the POC. Pretty heavy absorption. Volume that came in at the POC didn't do a very great job of rejecting things. So some Fed speak going on right now, but I think it's pretty much a non-factor. Signs of seller absorption around the POC, but the volume that's coming in right below the POC is holding and lifting price a little bit. Again, I do still want us to visit like 338, 337, clean up this a little bit, this distribution, make it a little smoother. And that'd be, I think, pretty good structure to get behind for a long. And the volume that comes in around the POC isn't actually quickly like rejecting the price to the upside, right? Like, I don't think this is a spot for a long. And it's trying to break this buyer absorption here. Like, we had some heavy prints on the seller absorption, but it just doesn't seem to be getting very far, right? I feel like sellers are putting forth pretty good effort here, and they're not getting very far at all, right? But then again, buyers aren't like quickly rejecting this POC. But all the volume that just came in there right below the POC lifted price. Seller at 340, 267 contracts. That's what kind of rejected that little move up there, right here. Way too early to kind of predict what shape of distribution is going to take for the day. Again, because we're such out in the middle of nowhere really right now, no structure really around us. You need to wait for the daily distribution to actually create the structure for me to trade within. So on days like this, when you've gapped and you're just away from any previous structure, you got to be a little extra patient and allow the daily to kind of show you where it is. The daily distribution, that is. So still pretty bullish on the flow here, right? Pretty quick rejection down here, getting down towards the value area low. I mean, let's see what happens here. See if we make another test of this POC. All right, because we're rejecting the top of this prior swing range from pre-market. You tried to make it down to the bottom side of value, just couldn't really do it. Quickly rejected. Volume came in and lifted you. Volume comes in here and keeps you away from the POC. It's a moderately favorable long, I think, even despite the seller absorption, right? Because we've broken the seller absorption already this morning, the heavy prints of it. Seller at 340 got absorbed. 116 contracts, didn't take price down. All right, I'm gonna put a piece on at 341.5. Because that 340 got absorbed right at the POC. 336 stop. I mean, we do maybe potentially have to allow this to get wicked. So 335 stop. So in at 341.5. All right, we've already broken seller absorption. So that's not really the big concern. You're kind of rejecting the POC. Any volume that comes in below the POC lifts price. This wasn't extraordinarily bearish. That's pretty freaking bearish right there. But if you can overcome that right now, that's pretty big. All right, we resist the top of this range. It's hard for you to get down towards the value area low. Volume comes in and lifts things. Not so well there. But sellers are absorbing at slightly higher prices, right? They're not following it down. This isn't a quick rejection of this area. This is just, I think, sellers finding liquidity here, right? Taking some profits maybe. But I just feel like it'd be hard for you to short all-time highs here, right? Especially a gap up like this. And then crude, you know, maybe a little more bullish than I would have hoped if I want to be long S&Ps, right? I probably want crude to be going the other direction for the most part. So we're getting hung up here at this POC at 340, right? Not the greatest entry. I would prefer maybe an entry at 339, 338, but we're kind of close. And we're in this consolidated range. Buyer absorption is somewhat holding here. And the volume that comes in above the POC isn't pushing price down. It's just holding it, right? I feel like we're building up a little bit of compression for a little bit of a stronger move up. But I want to break the absorption here at 341 for sure. Stops at 335 because I want to allow a test of this low right here, potentially. Because a quick rejection of this low is still bullish, right? Even if price gets below this swing low, if it quickly rejects, 342 buyer. So we've had 2 sellers at 340 get absorbed, right? So that's pretty bullish. Now we had a buyer at 342 and 3/4. Let's break away from this range though, right? We would talk about this so often, is that when you're in some sort of consolidative range, you don't just want the creep slightly above. You want a good snap, people get trapped, and then the retest, or people get hopeful that you're going to come back into the range and it doesn't, and they have to cover. And then you get the explosion. And we're also going to hope that these buys at 342 and 342 and 3/4 aren't trapped highs, right? So sellers still stepping on the gas here. But again, they're absorbing at higher prices. That volume that came in towards the highs, not great. I want to see more volume come in here and lift price. That would be ideal. All right, and this is just the top of this range, right? So there are sellers present here at 343 for sure. But heavy buyer absorption here. Heavy, heavy, heavy. And it's pretty much at the same price as earlier. So buyers are holding firm. Sellers are allowing a little bit of a creep. That's moderately bullish. I still do worry about the gap down to 300 though, right? Ideally, that's what we were talking about this morning. Like if we really wanted a good long, it was probably down near 300. But then 280 would just be like load up the trucks. So right now up here in the 340s, we're kind of like, okay, I'll take a trade, but it's not gangbusters. I'm not like falling out of my seat excited about this right now. And especially now that these sellers are re-engaging a little bit lower. All right, this is heavy seller absorption. Heavy, heavy, heavy. But you also have heavy buyer absorption. So in terms of overall bullish thesis trend, this is pretty good that you're finding balance and agreement between buyers and sellers up at these prices. And if we get stopped here at 335, no worries. Right? Again, we're trying to allow a little test of like 336 and right below this wick where volume comes in and pushes things up. We don't want to put a stop right on the low of this wick. We want to allow a little bit of a test, right? And then for volume to come in and push things higher. All right, we want to kind of see a quick rejection here. We want to see things kind of close up at 339, 340 if we can. Any close below this is not good, and we'll try to exit, I think. Yep. Oh, geez, peace. Snapped them. All right, well, at least we got filled at our price, though. You always worry about those moves that you just get so much freaking slippage. I wonder if that was news driven. 338 sell at 950. Was that it? 950 and 29 seconds. It might have been, right? But it was only for 114 contracts. It wasn't a very large sale. And the big buyers up here at 342 and 3/4 were swing high traps. So not great. All right, so you've broken out of value now. You've broken this swing range, and now are you going to struggle to get back within this range? All right, you got volume coming in at the highs. Heavy seller absorption finally snapped the buyers. But I mean, if we come back into value here, right? Now you're quickly back. This is a pretty quick rejection. I would have preferred the volume coming at the lows. Yeah, now you're right back where you want to be. All right, let's see on a rotation back outside of value. Let's see how we do on rotations down towards the value area low. I think that will be pretty telling, right? Back towards where the swing low is, with that overlaps with the value area low. All right, sellers aren't absorbing here. You don't get the impression. You get no flashes of seller absorption. They're not really they're not willing to follow this through, right? This is just a snap of these essentially longs right here. This is what kind of we were looking for. It just went way deeper than we had anticipated. So I would like to see a rotation down towards value area low. But the fact that we did this, right, and pretty quickly came out of it, I mean, that was pretty quick. It's like, do we want to re-engage here? We kind of do, right? Because these sellers just made an honest attempt to really break it down and then just got nowhere, and we got right back into the range, right? So maybe 340 and a half. I'll put a limit in. I don't want to chase this up, man. I don't want to chase this towards the top of the range. I want to come back down towards this POC to get me in. So 340 and a half. All right. Now that it got rid of us, sellers are not re-engaging here at all. Oh my God, it's going to get away from us, folks. It's going to get away from us. Yeah, it's not coming back. Not coming back. So maybe we'll look for a retest of this range and cancel my limit order. Look for a retest of 343 and hopefully try to get in there. Buyer at 346, 280. Some of it got absorbed at 346. Damn. Shook us right out. Good read. It shook us out. Crude. Not really doing much in crude. Just kind of stuck. Oh, come on, trade rate. Stop freezing. Yeah, whole lot of nothing. Nothing burger. All right, S&Ps. Give me an entry, man. Please. But the volume in here that comes in above the swing highs is not rejecting price at all. Like, I don't want to piecemeal this. All right, let's see what happens here as we come in. And volume comes in here at these swing highs. Right, we've broken pretty much all this absorption here, but I want to see the volume come in here and hold you above this range. Right, you didn't want just like a barely a test high and then fall right back into the range. That wasn't great. So now you're getting kind of a mixed picture, I think. Right, because you had to test outside the range, quickly rejected, came back in. Now you had to test outside the range, quickly rejected, now you came back in. From an order flow perspective, that tells you balance. That doesn't tell you trend. That tells you balance. But I do kind of like the fact that we're resisting the POC a little bit. All right, let's get in. 344 and a quarter. We got to allow a test of that wick now too, right? So potentially 338. I think you're safe at 337. All right, we're coming back. We're holding the top of this range for the most part. The tops of where sellers previously absorbed. Okay, so that's good range. We've had some buyers at 346. The big buyer was at 342 and 3/4, right? And look kind of where price got held up. Drawing a large buyer for 582 contracts right here. So the size since the open has come in on the buy side, not on the sell side. There was just now a large seller at 345. So hopefully they get stuck underwater too. I mean, ideally, we want to see a little bit of a melt up here, right? Because if all these sellers were absorbing, you had some pretty large size coming here at 345, get them trapped and make them cover. And let's go. Let's make a little run at this. I don't really want to fall back into value without volume lifting us back out. We don't want to see this come back, fall back into value. But the sellers are prevalent here. They keep on absorbing at higher prices. They're not giving up. They have not capitulated, but they're also not quickly rejecting and follow things lower. This was their last earnest attempt to break things down, and it didn't work. You got quickly snapped back up, and now you're back in value. So while our long here at the highs of the value area are precarious because of where we are on the daily distribution, because of what has now transpired with the order flow, and because our bullish leaning thesis for the day, I'm okay with the trade. But I would like to start seeing some acceleration. Just the sellers absolutely capitulate and have to cover and buy. And you would like to get, some acceleration here. Speed matters, right? You don't just want this, come on, get, right? You're just piecemealing a little bit. But the volume that's coming in here at 345 is not rejecting price. It's holding price. So it's not necessarily bearish, but lots of absorption there. But again, it doesn't look like there's any follow through on behalf of sellers. And we're pretty well established on the top of this range, right? This is a pretty well established range with all the seller absorption here. So let's get things to start moving up, shall we? Por favor. If I speak Spanish to you, will you listen more, markets? Bring up the news, make sure nothing's going on in the world. Times 10, still 30 minutes to oil inventories, which may have an effect on equity markets today. Just so long as this Iran conflict is going on, anything about oil will affect equity prices likely. So let's go. Come on. All right, we don't want this volume, this POC to move up. That's what you don't want. You really want it here. Then you want more volume to come in and lift price. You want to stay above where volume comes in. But you're almost getting the impression sellers are willing to meet you on every step of this move. But we're just going to leave this trade alone for now. Oil, what's going on? Oil it's consolidated. It's waiting for oil inventory numbers today. You probably won't see any oil moves. Buyer at 349, constructive. Last seller was at 345, which was pretty good size. We're in at 344 and a quarter. Do I want to stop at break even yet? No. Unless a ton of volume comes in here and pushes things back down. But I would like to see a snap melt up right now, honestly. Just make it easy, would you? Just make it easy. Make it easy for me. I mean, it's not bad. The volume that comes in is not really rejecting price. It's not all that clean. I mean, I think we can reduce risk though, right? It's like I almost feel you have to still allow price to come back down to 344. Right? You still have to allow a little bit of this wiggle right here. Potentially maybe in this low volume area right here, rejecting this. Any volume that comes in this low volume area and holds down price is not good for your position. Yeah, I would think 342 would be too far of a retracement into value for this to be good. So we'll put the full stop at 342. on the basis that if we are bullish, right, this is now mean reversion, right? You should see volume come in right now and pick you right back out of value. If it doesn't, we're done with the trade. All right, this is the spot where you want to see it quickly come out now. Any hanging around here, any close below volume, we just exit the trade. We'll just hit the exit market button and get the fuck out. Because you have to allow some wiggle room here. This is a pretty tight value range, right? If you're bullish, you don't want it to see come back in value and hold in value. And especially you don't want to see any move outside of value where volume comes in and pushes you back in, right? You're getting some buyer absorption here, but this is not a quick rejection. This is not great. But I will allow it a little bit of wiggle. The stop is at 342, right? Because I think this retracement into value is just a little too much for this position of what we're kind of working with, right? We're on the top of this range. I don't want to see us come back into this range. But I also think 342 might be too tight now. And it's kind of tight. It's like maybe leave 342 and the rest at 339 or something. All right, that's pretty good, but let's get out. We don't want to see volume come in and push you back in now. All right, get back outside of value, would you? Yeah, no. Exit. Exit. Oh, I have it on the wrong size. That's why. You fucking jerk. You fucking jerk. So lost a tick on that. This, you didn't really want to see this at all. Coming back into this range. And where the volume comes in. Seller at 344. Right? You had to buy her at 349 at the exact swing highs. Running 112. Where are we in the world? I think CL is just still moving sideways on crude. I wonder if equity markets too are waiting for crude oil inventories. All right, volume coming in here towards the highs. It's holding price down, right? Let's see what happens when we come back down towards this POC. If there's a big volume injection that can lift price away from the POC. Crude is trying to make an attempt. Yep. Moving towards the top of the range. But I mean, I would think that it would not do that before oil inventories, right? That's going to make some sort of huge break. Yeah, I just don't see it. I don't see it. So good to exit that long there. We read that pretty well. All right. I mean, the basis for long is good, right? On top of the previous range, volume comes in, quickly rejects near the POC. We have a bullish thesis, yada, yada, yada. But then when you get order flow at the highs, right, and it rejects price, and then when we were talking about whether or not we came back into value, any volume that came within value, you wanted to quickly lift you out of value. It did not do that, right? It held price down within value. That's not good for a long position. So lots of sellers coming in. Sellers at 344, 342 and a half, 339 and a quarter. So maybe we'll trap them. Who knows? This is pretty mixed on the large transactions. kind of playing loosey-goosey with the POC here. So we're floating both sides. You made a little trip outside value, quickly rejected to the downside, and came back up into value. So it looks like the rejections near value area lows are much quicker than they are near value area highs, right? We've had better slippage with seller absorption, meaning they had to absorb at higher prices than buyers have. Buyers have not absorbed at lower prices. And then now watch, you get the freaking pop that you're looking for in S&Ps, right? Just you got to shake everyone out before you get this. 342, 343. Trying to decide on a size and where I want my entry if I want to try this again because of this. And because what I just talked about, the quick rejections of lows rather than highs, the trend in seller absorption versus trend in buyer absorption. Volume that's coming in is lifting price. This is like only the truly bearish. These two are only the true bearish candles. Everything else in here is neutral to bullish. 345-ish. So I'll put in a couple limit buys. Hopefully we get a little thing down that I can get in. I hate chasing high prices. I don't want to do it. But how we're not quickly rejecting this at all. The volume that's coming in is not really pushing down price. Like, this is annoying and a half. This is so annoying. There's a lot of size on the buy side. This is so annoying. Just putting in a bunch of limit orders, trying to catch any sort of rotation down. Just give me a rotation down towards 346, please. All right, I'm not going to chase it up here towards the highs of this distribution, but I am willing to try to get in on rotations down. All right, bears have tried. I feel like they've given up at this point. Crude, it couldn't get anywhere. So that's bullish. Comes in at the highs, just barely moves price down. All right, so I got a limit at 347. And see if we can't get in with that one. And then 345 and 343. You won't get down there though. For sure. It doesn't even look like you're going to get down to 347, bro. We want 347 and a half. 348, 347 and a half, 348. Where are we in the world? Pretty far off. You're about to melt up now. Now that you shaking me out of any attempt at being long here, now you're gonna get your melt up, fucker. So I put one at 349. And his volume is right above it. It could be precarious. But the flow is bullish. All right, we're not trying any shorts with this order flow. I feel like that would be just crazy. All right. So in at 349 on one piece. I got another piece entry at 347. Definitely stop them both at 343. It's a heavy seller absorption print. Big buyers at 347, big buyers at 350. Lots of volume on the buy side today, folks. That's why we're only entertaining longs, because order flow is just screaming bullish. We have a bullish thesis based off the TPOs and auction theory. Now it's just a matter of trying to get a good price and where are your targets. Right? Is this a normative distribution? Right? Because buying it, if this is a normative distribution, this isn't the place to buy. This is the place to sell. The volume that's coming in is holding price down. You're not quickly rejecting this, right? So just leave it alone for a minute and see what happens. Peak at crude. Crude's breaking down, so that should be bullish for equities. But you still have crude inventories in 15 minutes. So who the hell knows what happens with that? People could be front running it. So we still got a limit at 347, right? Back in the tip of value. And then would stop everything at 343. Buyers absorbing here out of value at the highs. Yikes. And look at the size on the S&Ps. 329 contracts, 539, 537. Like they're throwing some serious size at it. Last seller, high price of the sellers is 345, it looks like, right? Yep. 345, 453 contracts. So failure to get back below 345 is pretty bullish. Volume that's coming in here at the highs is lifting prices, not rejecting. No quick rejection down. Heavy seller absorption, but you're not getting the follow through, right? They're just willing to, yeah, this is good liquidity. We'll sell to you here, but we're not like aggressively selling, thinking that our perspective that's changed. It seems to be more liquidity rather than a directional bias type of deal. But I mean, if you're truly a directional seller here, at what point do you just give up on this, right? You've gapped up, you're at all-time highs. Order flow that's coming in is mostly bullish. I would like to get another piece in here. It'd be great if you just come down, wick this a little bit, get me my entry at 347, and then take off like a rocket ship. All right, can you please do that for me? Please, please, please. Don't take off a rocket ship right now with just a quarter piece on it. God damn it. But not a sell. Not a sell, folks. I don't think so. Doesn't look like it. Nothing about this tells me a sell. You're creating higher ranges. Institutional orders are pretty much all on the buy side. Absorption, sellers are absorbing at higher prices. You're breaking absorption levels. Buyers are absorbing at higher prices. Volume that comes in lifts price, doesn't suppress price. No quick rejection of the highs. Like everything in the order flow basis world is telling you long. Everything. But that in and of itself could be the trap. All right, when everything's telling you should be long, that could be the trap. That's why trading is so hard, because you could be looking at everything, considering all the things, and everything could be telling you the same exact story, and then your story is wrong. Good. So crude broke down out of value, right? Broke this previous swing low. Ideally, what you want to see now is a test back where this absorption is of the value area low. Did we get in at 347? Yeah, we got in. So another piece in at 347. Okay. Full stop at 343. I would feel like that would just be way too far back into value and would absolutely negate this trade. You don't want to close below any volume at the value area high again, like we did here. volume that came in at the highs of crude suppressed things. I don't want to just, biasly or make the general statement that crude prices will be inverse to S&Ps right now, because it's not always the case. But generally speaking, that seems to be the case. Heavy absorption prints. Jeez, good thing we got a second piece in here, folks. Come on, lift it out. Don't come back down, and don't stop me. Like, I'm done trying to get long this. All right, the flow is bullish, but I mean, you're just running into sellers who are now just creating a normal distribution. You don't really want to close below this, guys. Come on, quickly reject out of here, please. Let's go. Don't make me beg you. Crude. I mean, the volume's coming in at the highs on crude. That's pretty bearish. But I'm not getting long just because in S&Ps because I'm, bearish on crude or something. But the volume that's coming in here at the value area high is not doing a great job of suppressing price, right? These aren't very bearish order flow signals here. Slightly bearish. This is not very bearish. This is a little bearish. But let's go. Let's go. Let's do some rocket shipping today here, folks. Let's break this 474. Let's capitulate all the sellers. Let's get them crying to their mothers. Let's go. So seller at 346 and 347. There seems to be the underlying theme here. As soon as big sellers come in, it marks the swing low. Right? You had big sellers down here, and now you just had big sellers down here. But let's get back above this volume. I mean, potentially it does wick us at 343 and continue on its way. But because our entries aren't so great, we're up here near the value area high. I don't want to move the stop really any lower, honestly. And because we're seeing good buyer absorption, the volume here is kind of holding price versus what we kind of saw here where it held price down. It's kind of holding the price up now. That's constructive. We'll see what happens if we can make it back outside of value, whether or not the volume comes in and pushes you right back into value. That would not be ideal. You want to get away from the value area now. Let's expand the value area. Let's expand the distribution. Let's get away from this. We're having a tough time here. We're having a tough time at 348 swing highs or value area highs. Crude, it's trying to hold on. We got 9 minutes until inventories. Sellers stepping in here. At least they try to for a brief moment. We're trying here, folks. We're trying to make some dollars today. We're getting a little too much of the overlap in rotations. This just seems to be a slow grind higher rather than any sort of melt up and potentially even just a normal distribution for the day. Like if we get some good volume up here and we can close and stay above the volume that comes in here out of value, I'll move the stop at least up a point. The volume that's coming in here out of value, like you don't want it to hold down price here like it kind of did here. But sellers at 346, 347 and a half, they're underwater. You stayed above volume here. That's pretty good. Not moving to break even or anything. Way too tight. Way too tight. So this is kind of your reference area right now, the 347, 348 entry. Anything getting below all this volume right here is terrible for a long position. Bullish either. But we know what side we want to be on for sure based off this order flow. Ideally, you snap back into value. Ideally. But you got some bearish flow here at 350. All right, that's good. That's really good. That's really, really good. All right, come on. Like everything's saying sellers just give up because buyers are not. Seller at 350 though. Maybe that'll mark a swing low. Because all major sellers have marked swing lows, and it was pretty large size, 350. 401 contracts. All right, so based off of this wick, these wicks, we can definitely move our stop to 344. You can definitely take some risk off. Okay. Not break even though. Not break even yet. We still need to allow this wick to get tested, I think. Right, because it's right where all that volume is. This is now the swing point for the market. This 347, 348, right where we're in it. But any major changes in the flow state right now, man, because we've tried this long like 3 times now, right? Small little attempts, but it's just we're not getting the velocity and acceleration above previous swing highs that we're kind of looking for. It's trying, man. But I mean, the sellers, these are pretty big seller absorption prints. Like this is nothing to sneeze at. 474, 270, 276. Another wick rejection of the value area high. Like you have all the things brewing for an absolute melt up, and it's just not happening. Right? $346 full stop. Take some more risk off. But you know, like, right, there's just not a huge breakaway. We're just not getting the huge breakaway. I would absolutely just love a quick snap up, creates a nice, good low volume area, builds volume, tight rotations, lots of volume coming in. Like that's what ideally you want to see. That's an absolute trend breakout. That's what those look like. These slow things where you're like, oh, I'm just getting above the high, and then you retrace a bunch of the swing. Like that's just, it's so hard to trade those. I know we always want ideal scenarios for our trades. All right, I will break even plus a point. All right, 349 stop. Yep. Okay. So we don't have any reference range up here, right? This is going to be a purely order flow type deal. $350 full stop. Like this, what's happening here is not great. Because you had all the ingredients for a melt up, and the lack of melt up is concerning. Oil just getting nowhere. Inventory in 4 minutes. Maybe we need the inventory numbers to clear before this market really wants to do something. But we just put our full stop at 350, 2 points in profit. I really hope that you can't get back below 352 now. And I really don't want oil inventories numbers to come out and just be a huge shock to equity markets. Like that would not be ideal. Volume coming in is holding down price, not super rejectful, right? It's like, hey, how are you? Good to see you. Stay for a minute. It's not like, hey, get the fuck away from my door, solicitor. Like that order flow looks pretty good. That looks pretty not bearish to me. So keep the long and see where we can go. You know, I'm willing to let it go at 350, right? We're averaged at 348. Right? Because this is the 3rd attempt. I really want to melt up. Just fucking melt it up, would you? Just destroy the shorts. They've tried repeatedly to absorb you and hold you down. right? Reject your oppressor. Check new voice user. Oh, okay. That was not news. That was financial juice telling me their shit is not working as well as it should be, which is no surprise. So NQ is just sideways this morning. Crude, you get the impression crude wants to break down. Right, you broke down out of value. The previous value area low was here. You broke down out of value and you couldn't get back into that previous value area. All the absorption that's coming in on the sell side, I see no buyer absorption. I mean, you get bullish flow here, right? All the volume seems to be mostly at the lows for crude. So we'll see. And just slowly grinding here. Slowly grinding. We're going to break this into pieces, I think. Stop a piece at 352, the other piece at 350. Yep, good. Because this slow thing that's happening is not great. And if we got stepped out at 350, we're okay with that. Absolutely okay with that. Yep, there it is. Okay. And not bad. Made a few dollars on that one. But it's just kind of worrisome, again, because you have all the ingredients for an absolute melt up. All the sizes on the buy side. All sellers have been trapped. Where is the melt up? Why is that not occurring? That seems suspect. So oil inventory numbers are out. Let's see what the print is. Ooh, negative 2.314. The expectation was negative 3.5, essentially. Cushing inventories down 2/3 All right, so inventory numbers were better than expected. But crude seems to get nowhere on the news. Because I guess it's still a drawdown. I don't know. Volume coming in the lows. I do like the volume came in at the low, right? It wasn't at the high and send things down. But I mean, this is kind of ugly looking now. And we always talk about these low volume areas right near the edge of a distribution, how once you invert them, they can become resistance. But now that we've been shaken out of our lungs, I fully suspect that this market is now just going to go rocket ship higher. Yeah, just a slow grind up this morning. Is there anything that would potentially flip us bearish on this? I mean, it would have to be pretty convincing. We need to start snapping range lows. We need to start snapping buyer absorption. We need volume coming in at the highs on the candles. Just not there at the moment, man. Just not there. Woo! Crude moving down, S&P is moving up, bullish flow back towards the highs, couldn't really get back down into the value area high. You're kind of holding this low volume area. I mean, I would like to see rejection. I mean, this is a quick rejection. It's just not kind of what you would want it to look like. And that is the fundamental problem with candlesticks. It depends on the exact timing relative to time at which reversals occur, right? Whether or not it actually creates a wick or it creates something that looks like this. This isn't as visually appealing as this. Wicks look better, right? This is a quick rejection down here at the value area low here. That's a quick rejection. This is a quick rejection. This is a pretty quick rejection. It just doesn't look ideal as a wick. So, you know, of course, it's got you out of your long, right? It retraced just deep enough where you're like, yeah, I probably wouldn't do that and now it continues its advance, breaks the sellers, right? It's just like it's the slow grind higher. It's not the melt up. But it's just all screaming bullish. It's just now you need something. I maybe tested this 353s, this low volume area, get a rejection in volume here, or maybe where this volume came in at 352 and 3/4. Test that or something. I don't know. We'll see. But gosh darn markets. We would have fared better today if he just didn't have stops at all, but that'd be crazy. Just looking at the news headlines. Not a whole lot going on. Make sure we can see everything. Go. Good, good, good. What's going on? Other market? Ooh, gold is up 3 1/3. Most commodities are down. Corn, soybeans are all down. Sugar's down. Corn is down. All the metals are up. Silver's up almost 6% today. Bitcoin's up 1%. Dollar's falling. Risk on, baby. That's risk on. Oil's falling. NQ's up 1.25%. Bonds are up 0.5%. VIX is down. But you need a retracement now, folks. Do not buy the high. Do not buy a swing high. So crazy. More buyers coming in. 360 for 281 contracts. My goodness. Just buying this up. These fucking stops killed us today. Fuckers. Oh well. It's trading. I want my position back. I want my long position back, please. Patience. 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 Crude. What are you doing, crude? Crude's getting nowhere fast, folks. Getting nowhere fast. S&P's melting up now, just on the slow grind, and we got shaken out of all of our long positions. Volume that's coming in is still lifting price, even at the very highs here. Maybe now finally sellers have just absolutely disappeared. I'm like, all right, we fucking quit. They fucking quit, yo. Probably can't trade this afternoon. Got too much going on. I would have liked maybe better results today. All right, this is a nice little trend higher. Just the retracements were too deep for us. All right, too deep of a retracement. Right, we thought maybe you get a little test of the wick here, but it went too far, stopped us. All right, and this one just a little too far and stopped us. Yeah, I don't really foresee anything at the moment. This is just, we're just too far out of value now. And as you get higher and higher here, you're adding a little less volume. Not ideal. Right, because if you were to draw a trend line in this volume at some point around 365, it looks like you run out. So you would need some sort of volume injection here to hold things up. You know, I want a short crude here, but I don't. maybe short at 95.80 up towards the top of this consolidator range. At the bottom of this swing low here, 95.50 or something. Maybe. I mean, this is a pretty significant bearish order flow here. This is heavy volume that held things down. Volume coming into highs, not pushing things down. So this is the prime example in order flow what the difference between reactionary and initiative is. This is reactionary. We'll meet you at the price, but we're not selling things lower. Like I'll sell to you at 360. I'm not selling to you at 358. Right? I'm not following through on my sales. And it's going to continue to do this. It's just going to continue to grind higher. But without any good structure to get behind on entry, you can't do it. You can't do it, folks. You need some sort of retracement, some sort of structure to get behind, right? This was structure we could get behind. All right, we got long after this happened. We got long kind of after this happened. So we need something like that to happen over here that says, okay, now's a good swing point to get in at. Some large sales or something. A wick of a prior low. It's good. The oil's down 7% today. Gas is down 3%. Gasoline's down 5%. Yeah, I mean, we're cooked on longs here, folks. We can't get in. Yeah, we can't get in. Oh well. Just let it go. Let it go. Hopefully you guys didn't trail stop as tight as I did. And we're still in this. Right? Because we almost got stopped to the tick on ES. Right? Our final stop was at 350. Fucker. You fucker. Still no signs of bearish order flow whatsoever. Right? So if you're long, just hold. Don't do anything until you start seeing volume coming in, start suppressing price. Any heavy prints of absorption. But I think sellers are now just absolutely done. Right? The capitulation finally happened after we got out of our positions. It's like, damn, bro. Why you do me so dirty? Crude is starting to break down, it looks like. Bearish, 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 bearish. Bearish. God damn it, leave me alone, people. Yep, so absolutely nothing to do now. There's no structure to get behind a long, and oh my god, it just runs away. Our average long was in at 348. Fuck me. But don't dwell on it. Do not dwell on it. Oh, there's not supposed to be candles. That's why I was like, why does that look different? It's supposed to be a line. There you go. Buyers stepping in at crude at the lows. I mean, I wouldn't want to trade crude until you broke this distribution right here. The swing high is at 95.40 and the swing lows at 94.90. Break that range and retest that range. That's the trade. Don't trade in the range or trade like what you think a break of that range would be. But that is interesting. You just had the quick sudden volume injection and then it quickly sold off right there. That was interesting. And then it got absorbed at the lows. Yeah, crude is in a little bit of a fight right now. S&P is just climbing. Bullish flow, bullish flow, bullish flow, bullish flow, bullish flow. Bullish flow. It's all bullish. This is all bullish. There's nothing bearish in here. Moderate. This is neutral. Bullish, 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 bullish. Maybe bearish. Maybe. Look what crude just did. Broke the range low, quickly rejected, and came back into the range. Yeah, I don't want to buy it though. This is some heavy bearish flow. But I mean, there might be a melt up in oil right here. I mean, not a melt up, but I just want to put a piece of oil on. Am I trading the wrong contract? I don't think so. Let's see what happens here, because this is pretty interesting. This, right? You broke the range and quickly rejected. The volume came in towards the range high and just really shoved your ass right back down, didn't it? Let's see what happens. If you quickly snap back in again and this volume shifts lower. Yeah, there's the volume shift lower. I'll quickly reject it and get back into this range. If you really want to be long. You can't break S&Ps to the downside though. Can't do it. And that's probably not good. That seems bearish. All right, now you're outside the range. Yeah, I don't want to trade it. It's kind of choppy. But there's no entry here on S&Ps either, so fuck it. Fuck it. It's probably going to conclude the day. We'll just sit here and do a whole bunch of fucking nothing now. S&P has left us behind. Fucker. So this is oil over here, and then this is S&Ps. And kind of keep an eye on both of them. Because I don't think there's any reason to have this S&P chart open as well. It's kind of just telling me the same thing that I'm seeing right here. But crude came right back into the range again. Right? Now you've had two rejections of the lows. Like ideally, I mean, I feel like this is bullish, right? But to be purely bullish, I think you'd want to break this range and then a retest of it. Like that's the ideal trade rather than just trading here at the POC. Right, because volume came in and suppressed price. But I mean, twice you've now tried to break this consolidated range and you just ran right into buyers who met you there. 94.74, last large sale. Yeah, I mean, there's no trade on S&Ps right now. That's why I'm kind of just watching crude. All right, there's nothing there. That's not a short. That's not a long either. Just let it be. This is a pretty clean ledge right here, right? This is very clean. Yeah, 1050 though. Wrong. We need to be in crude. All right, I'll put a piece on in crude. Where the hell are we? Put 94.65 stop. That may be too far. But I want to allow some wiggle around the POC. Now, why I like this is because of this bullish order flow here around the POC and the failure to make it out this very well-defined absorption range, right? So that's why we're long. Now, I want a clean break of this. All right, go, run oil, run. So we're in an average 95.26, not great average, but now I want to see us be resistant to the top of this range, please. 95.30s, failed to break 95.30s. Large sales coming in on S&Ps, but you're not really pushing price down at 365 on S&Ps. Large sales right here. That's actually maybe a catalyst for a long, actually. So this is purely like an order flow trade right here. All right, I like the volume on this bar was up here, but I don't like that the volume's right up above the range and pushed you back in. I would like to see the volume now shift to here and push you back out. That would be ideal. And the flow is kind of mixed here, right? We're kind of like getting in before we got the break of the range. I don't really like that that just happened, right? Because here's the top of the pretty well-defined range. Like another push up here, like I just maybe want to get the break even on this, right? Because this is an order flow trade. This isn't an alignment of some higher time frame auction theory thesis or anything. But I reject the POC. I don't think you'll want to get back down to this POC, right? Especially through it. All right, what's our stop at? Yeah, move the stop to 95. 94.90. 94.90. Volumes coming in at the highs is kind of keeping you down a little bit. Uh, 94.74 was large. Transaction was at the lows for a sale, right? So maybe that marked your swing low. $26. Yeah, this volume here is on the wrong side. It's right outside the range and it's pushing you back into the range. That's not ideal. All right. Get ready. If we hold back down towards this POC, like you'd want a quick rejection back up here. You're just not getting it, bro. You're just not getting it. You would want to resist the POC now. Now that you've gone outside the range, right? Anything volume that comes in at the POC and you hold below it is a sign for you to get the fuck out. But that volume came in at the right place and the price reacted in the right way. So 94.90 is a good stop on everything. I think. Absorbing buyers, higher prices. Got to keep an eye on the news, folks. Trump, it's, oh God, he's talking right now. Fuck me. It's possible Iran deal reached before China visit. When does he go to China? Unlikely to send Witkoff and Kushner for talks. I feel U.S. closing in on deal with Iran. Iran war has a good chance of ending. Okay, man. Believe it when I see it, bro. But that would be pretty bearish for oil prices. Based off that news flow, I would think. And that was at 1044, though. Where was that? Was that here? Yeah, so maybe this is just not bullish order flow, and it's just fucking Trump news talk. But all this volume that's coming in is on the wrong side. Absolutely on the wrong side. If this does not quickly reject again, as it did right here, we're out. And get ready to exit the full piece. If it doesn't quickly reject right now. I don't want to futz around with this. Move up, please. Go. 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 If you can't get back above this volume at the POC, this trade is fucked. This trade is fucked, bro. Ideally, your stop is somewhere down here outside of value, but because our entry is a little bit chased at 26, you gotta, and that tends to be the biggest part of my problem trading is just getting bad entries. S&Ps, what are you doing? You're holding firm, bullish. A lot of seller absorption, but it's not getting anywhere. So, bullish. This is not turning ideal. This is not ideal at all. Oh my goodness. Iran gas. All power plants using natural gas at max capacity. I don't know what the fuck that means. But I do want to start exiting crude. Wrong size. Or not. Get above this volume. I like the volume in at the POC. You got to stay above it, though. Do not get below this. Leave it at 90. You get to 90, fuck it. The value area low. If you were truly bullish, you're not going to get down there. And we're going to get stopped. Fuck me. It'll stop us to the tick, and then I'll take off, right? You're like, God damn it. Get above the volume. You're not going to get above the volume. Oh, within one, yeah, there we go. Stopped. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it all to hell. And then S&Ps just continue their grind higher. Oh my gosh. Oh, so terrible. So terrible. Such good read, such poor trading. Man. Man, oh man, oh man. Just like kind of looking at it cross-eyed and just annoyed. But oh well, it's trading. This is what happens, folks. Can't win them all. But I mean, god damn it, the read on the S&Ps was absolutely fucking correct today. It's just it overlapped a little too much each time and got us out. Oh well. All right. Well, God bless you. Hope you guys traded this better than I did. Hopefully, any information that I gave you was somewhat insightful and that you were able to trade it better than I was, because I did not and ended up losing a little bit of money today, unfortunately, even though I was absolutely correct with the fucking directional bias on S&Ps and what was happening. It just overlapped and stopped us, you know. I'll review it and see if any changes can be made, but there's absolutely no bearish order flow with fucking S&Ps right now. This is just all bullish. There's no bearishness here. Despite your absorption, the volume that comes in barely holds down price. It's just like, fuck me, bro. What a market. Oh well. All right. I'll see y'all tomorrow for Thursday. God bless you. Have a good one.